Does anyone remember that Medal of Honor reboot back in 2010? It unfortunately was a game vastly overshadowed and overlooked by its competition of ever-rising popularity. Games like Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, and so on. While a solid shooter in its own right with a commendable yet short campaign, the multiplayer, people including myself, felt as if EA took a few steps back, especially when you compare this game with EA's other flagship game, Battlefield Bad Company 2, which may or may not be why the game never really took off into vast stardom or held the audience of the FPS crowd nearly as well as other, more popular titles of its era. But what's the online like here in 2022? Is there even anyone playing it? That's what I intend to find out in today's video. Quick side note, the game was voted on by fans in a post that I made a few weeks back. It was extremely close, with Medal of Honor pulling just slightly ahead of Battlefield 3. So if you're mad that I'm not covering any of the other games I had in that poll, blame those people for that. No, but in all seriousness, I'm happy the poll got as many votes as it did, and who knows, maybe in the future, this series will be 100% run by the fans. Yeah, so the player base here in 2022. To say that it's not great is a vast, depressing understatement. To be totally blunt with you, there's probably more people in line at your local fast food joint than there are players here on the PS3. Yeah, obviously those numbers are going to be different on, say, the Xbox or PC, but the PS3, the player count is consistently lower than 25. In some cases, lower than 15. Now, I wasn't exactly expecting the numbers to be, say, anywhere near the numbers of Black Ops, another game that came out in 2010. But I wasn't exactly anticipating the player count to be as low as it was. And yes, I had people in the comments in past videos suggest or even criticize me of not playing the games on the weekend, citing that more people would be playing during those times. And yeah, that would typically be true with a good portion of the games that I play. But with Medal of Honor, there was absolutely no significant impact in numbers weekday versus weekend. In fact, the footage that is being used in this video is from a session that I had during a weekend. There were even a few times, both during the week and the weekend, where I would jump online, only to be greeted with absolutely no one playing. Nothing. Just a barren wasteland. But keep in mind, it's a 12-year-old game. It is what it is. And when there were people playing online, oddly enough, I was able to join the matches very quickly. And most of these said matches, the lobbies were nearly full of players. In the event, I did join a half-filled lobby. It wasn't really even bad because the matches themselves didn't pan out in a super slow pace, which was the exact opposite of what I experienced when I made that Bad Company 2 video not that long ago. With its declining low amount of active players, you're going to be stuck playing just one game mode, which seems to change day by day. One day you'll be stuck playing nothing but Team Deathmatch, while the next day is that one objective-based mode. It changes on a daily basis. And you'd figure with the dreadfully low amount of players of what's left of the online, that it might suffer from various connectivity problems. And it very well might. There were a handful of moments where I said, what the fuck? Moments where I'd be like shooting at a guy, my sights are directly on him, yet I'm missing every single shot. And then other moments where my aim was just completely all over the place, but I got the kill anyway. That or I'd be in a firefight, duck into cover, yet get killed anyway, knowing full well my body was nowhere near exposed to enemy fire. But I can't fault the game or its connection on all accounts. I'm sure there were plenty of times where I died due to my own low level of skill or stupidity in this game compared to others. But still, there were moments that felt completely out of my control. As far as the whole experience with hackers or modders, well, during my time of playing this, I didn't notice anything sketchy or notice any obvious signs of hacking. It's significantly harder, of course, to figure out in this game in particular, since there is no kill cam of any kind. But then, I've never exactly heard of anyone hacking this game either. Not that it hasn't happened, of course. I'm sure someone out there, at some point, for some reason, has hacked this game. But it couldn't be anywhere near as bad as, say, Black Ops 2 and how completely unplayable it is now due to the overwhelming amount of hackers still flooding the servers to this day. To touch on the overall gameplay experience here in 2022, it's tough. I really do like the gameplay of Medal of Honor, but good, sweet baby rays if it's not dated as hell compared to pretty much all of the games it was competing against at the time. It's still a fun game to play, don't get me wrong, but it's not something I could ever personally play for more than an hour, maybe 2 tops. Part of that also has a lot to do with the lack of game modes that are playable now, and the fact that I was forced into playing the same godforsaken map 4 times in a row at multiple points due to how the game cycles through the maps after the matches are over. The gameplay is super basic in its core. There's barely any weapons in the game, very few attachments, really not a lot going on to customize or mess around with. It's very old school traditional in a sense, and people now, with having so many games where everything is so customizable and much more complex as a whole, they might be taken aback by this game. And I could see a lot of players, mostly newer players, becoming bored of it extremely quickly. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's still a fun game, but I would be lying horribly if I were to say that it aged well or holds up well compared to every other game I've covered in this series so far. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that you're going to come across the same handful of players over and over again, which isn't exactly a horrible thing, but you have to understand that the bulk of the people playing this have been playing the game for a very long time. Max ranks, they have everything unlocked, and they are a higher in skill usually, have a better understanding of the maps, the weapons, how the gameplay works, much more than someone like me who has only played the game for maybe 10 hours. So if you are new to the game, or just coming into it many years later, there might be a hefty skill curve that you may have to adjust to. Otherwise, you just end up getting your ass handed to you in every single match. So is the Medal of Honor reboot playable here in 2022 on the PS3? No, can't really say that it is 100%. Yeah, technically you can still play it, and when you do find a decent amount of players online, it's still a good time, but those times are not frequent enough, and the player count is only going to continue on its decline as the months go on. And because of that very low player count, EA could pull the plugs on the servers at really any point. Let's say that if you wanted to play this game as like a last hurrah, like for old time's sakes with a couple of buddies, then I would say yeah, go for it. But I wouldn't exactly go out of my way to find this game again just to strictly play the online. To add to that, the game did not really age that well in its multiplayer, primarily. I mean, single player, it's still enjoyable. I wouldn't have a problem playing it over again. But the multiplayer, there's just not enough there to really capture and hold people's attention these days. And even though I had a good time with it, even if the servers are still online for years to come with a decent amount of people playing it, I cannot see myself touching the multiplayer ever again after this video. With that said, everyone, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Leave a suggestion in the comments below if you would like for me to cover something in specific. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. And as always, take care, and I will see you next time.